Okay. Hey guys, AJ here. Yo, one thing that I realized is, ever since I've been building weapons in Call of Duty, um, I realized that there are some attachments that I can kind of relate to. Wherever I see like reload fast or damage range, I kind of get that. But when I see things like um, drop, French resistance or some other little. Basically, what I'm getting at is there's some attachments that make sense to me right away because they're self-explanatory, but there's other ones that I don't understand at all. That's before I started playing multiplayer, but now that I've built guns in multiplayer and zombies, I basically just want to just explain to you how I would build a gun. Now, this is all personal preference. You can set up after this video, you can set up your guns how you want. It's all personal preference. All thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this quick video and I'll explain some of the attachments that make sense in zombies and makes no sense in multiplayer and vice versa. And I'm just going to tell you how I would build my gun in zombies based on the knowledge that I was gathered in multiplayer building weapons in that particular mode. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my weapon, the XM4. Alright. So, I don't know if y'all ever noticed this or not, but if you look at the bottom right, it says 0 out of 8. That means there's only 8 slots that you can work with. So that means that on one of these, and there's 9 different attachment slots here. So one of them you can't even access at all. So I'm just gonna tell you how I set my attachment up. But it does vary slightly depending on the weapon. But I'm just gonna give you an idea of how I would build a weapon in zombies. But like I said, if it's like a LMG, I might build it slightly different, in sniper, vice versa. But since most people that I play with an assault rifle or submachine gun, I figured I'd just start here. And I would set up how I would build every single weapon in every single category, but that would just take too long. So anyway, all of this is personal preference. I like to use this one only because I can see everything clearer, and that never really mattered to me. I cared more about the red dot. So this is the one that I use mostly in zombies. But since I've been playing multiplayer lately, and I started to fall in love with this one, that's the one I've been using. But like I said, this is all personal preference. Now, the muzzle category. Okay. In zombies, the most important thing is being able to get extra salvage. If you can get extra salvage, that's always a beautiful thing. So this is the one that I would typically just put on and just call it a day. But this one gives you extra salvage, and it also gives you damage range and bullet velocity. And I don't really care about aim movement, stillness and aim. I care a little bit more about aim down sight, but I like the fact that I have damage range more. So the fact that it gives me more damage and it gives me also the salvage that I want, I would go with this one. But if this one wasn't unlocked yet, then I would pick this one. I wouldn't say that any of these is bad. These are more geared towards multiplayer, like controlling the vertical control of your gun, and being able to control his kickback. I'm not saying that these things are bad because Deadshot Daiquiri corrects all of that stuff. The only problem is unless you have Deadshot Daiquiri, then your gun might be shooting crazy. You're gonna be mostly shooting by the hip anyway. But if you're trying to get some critical kills, I'm not gonna say that it's a complete waste of time of trying to control your recoil, because once you get Deadshot Daiquiri, that'd be good. So I'm not gonna say that I'm opposed to controlling your recoil in zombies. I would just say that if I had to choose between one of these, controlling my recoil and getting salvage, I would pick extra salvage. It's important, but it's not as important as this. And one good thing is the only thing that has a negative is the one that I'm picking. But I like the fact that I have damage range and bullet velocity. The bullet velocity is not as important as the damage range, and it also gives me the salvage. So this is the one that I would choose, and this is the one that I would choose if this one wasn't unlocked. Alright. Now the barrel. The barrel, bullet velocity is not that important in zombies. And I'm just going to take a second to explain what it is if y'all didn't know. This applies in real life too, but if you shoot a gun, right, it's going to have so much power within a certain distance, right? So let's say like you try to like shoot somebody like 10 feet away or 10 yards away. The more it travels, the weaker the gun is going to get. But if you increase a gun's bullet velocity, what this is, theoretically, the drop off, if the bullet velocity is strong enough, it would be just as strong shooting somebody from, I don't know, like 10 yards away versus 1 yard away, if the bullet velocity is stronger. The stronger the bullet velocity, the stronger it's going to be when it hits its target at a far distance. But this makes very good sense, and this is something I would probably put on in multiplayer, but it doesn't really make that much sense in zombies. The last attachment I put on gave me my bullet velocity increase, but I cared more about the damage range, and I cared more about the salvage than I cared about the bullet velocity. So yeah, this is from shooting people from a distance. Now, shooting some zombies that's a little bit farther away than I do sometimes, and it gives me damage range without any cons, that's not bad at all. But I care more about headshots, and I mostly care about headshots more than this. So the headshot multiplier is good because when I do get my deadshot daiquiri, all of my bullets are going to be going to the head, and this increases my damage to the head. This is going to increase my damage overall, but this is specifically increasing my damage to the head. And because of that reason, I would absolutely put this on zombies way more than I would put this on if I had the choice. That's what I'm going to pick. But I would not put this on in multiplayer at all, only because the chances of me shooting somebody in the head is less likely. It's harder to do. And it's a multiplier. You shoot like a couple of people in the head, your headshots are going to be stronger, basically. And this is going to make all of your bullets stronger further distance away. So I would choose this one in zombies every time if I have the choice. The bullet multiplier is the way to go. The headshot multiplier is the way to go. Alright, so the underbarrel. The underbarrel, out of all of the different categories, I would say that this is one of the most important categories that you could put on your weapon in multiplayer. But in zombies, it makes less sense. I'm not going to say it makes no sense at all, but this is mostly about controlling the recoil. But in certain guns, like this one, it gives you that extra benefit of like a grenade launcher or like a smoke grenade launcher and stuff like that, and a charge shot. You got those extra little special attachments, but this is mostly about controlling your recoil, your vertical recoil, your steadiness, your aim focus. Not aimed outside, but your aim focus. This is geared more towards being more accurate. So I would put on one of these to be more accurate if I had nothing else unlocked. But if I had everything unlocked, which I do now, I would stay away from this category unless there's something down here that absolutely makes no sense. Then I would skip that category and then go back to this one. So this is one that's the least important. I'm not saying it's not important at all, but it's the least important. So I'm gonna skip it for now. Okay, the magazine. The magazine, I would probably pick this one because this one would give me more ammo and it has no cons at all. This is the perfect attachment to put on your magazine in multiplayer. But in zombies, the cons is not that big of a deal. Aim down sight, being able to reload. Your speed cola takes care of that, so it's not a big deal. Basically, I would basically put on the biggest magazine I possibly could. But sprint to fire, aim down sight. In case y'all didn't know what sprint to fire means, that means that when you're running, right, and then when you got to stop and shoot, it would be, the delay will be little or severe depending on your aim down, your sprint to fire. So it's both. If you have two players running at each other at the same time, and then they got to stop and shoot each other, depending on the person who has the best sprint to fire, they're gonna shoot you before you shoot them, even if they have a weaker gun than you. If your sprint to fire sucks, they're gonna stop sprinting and then fire at you before you fire at them. Even if your gun is stronger, they will still win the battle. So that is important in multiplayer, but it's not important in zombies. So I would pick the biggest magazine. Alright, so the red grip. The red grip, I'm gonna say that sliding is cool. I love sliding in this game, I'm not gonna lie to you. And there are times when I would definitely put on mostly sliding, because sliding and then aiming down sight around the corner, that does help me a couple of times in multiplayer, but it doesn't really help me in zombies. This is a well-balanced one, but since we camp a lot and we like aim shoot with our Deadshot daiquiri, having an attachment that has the most aim down sight is the most important thing in zombies. But if I was playing multiplayer, I would pick this one because it's well balanced with my sprint to fire and aim down sight. This one, if my style of play was sliding more often, I would probably pick this one. But I care more about having aim down sight and having sprint to fire. The jump and slide and back and forth, that's least important to me. But since it's there, why not? So this is the one I would go with multiplayer. This is the one I would go with zombies. Now the stock. The stock is pretty cool. It's all about movement. If you aiming and you're moving really slow, that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on. I care more. Like, there are times when I'm playing zombies that I'm aiming down sight, but there's other times when I have to do hip firing. So I would pick this one because it helps me with my hip fire spread. It's a little bit more tighter, and there are literally challenges in zombies that you got to hip fire. Now, putting this on, this is the one that I would absolutely probably put on in multiplayer, because as you're aiming, right? Matter of fact, I'm just going to show you. As you're aiming down, right, you're going to move slow or faster depending on your aim moving speed. So when you're going around a corner, you can move slower or move faster depending on your aim moving speed. So that is, like, you'll be able to move around, your movement. To me, those things makes absolute perfect sense in multiplayer, but not in zombies. So anyway, I wouldn't pick that one. So the stock, like I said, I would put on this one because of my hip fire speed. The laser is the absolute one that you should absolutely avoid if you're playing multiplayer, because it gives your enemy visual of where you are at all times, because your laser, everybody would just be able to see your laser. So that one I would absolutely avoid, because that's a big con in multiplayer. But in zombies, it's not a con at all. This one I actually love using this category. I would just pick one because regardless of which one I pick, if you look at the cons, they're all like your enemy can see your laser, but zombies don't care about that. So it goes back to what I was saying before, being able to like hit fire spread and is able to be controlled a little bit more. I would basically use this one. This one has a red beam. This one has a blue beam. There are certain challenges to say get a bunch of kills with a laser with a red beam or a blue beam. So I would pick one or the other depending on the challenge. But this one, if you look at it, it has a 3 times hip accuracy. This one has a 2. So I would pick this one unless I have a specific challenge that says get headshot, get critical kills with the hip, or get hip kills with a red beam. Other than that, I would pick this one because this one is just slightly better. Now, this is all personal preference, like I said before. Let me see. To me, being able to even in multiplayer, I don't pick this one because unless I have a specific challenges to say that I have to shoot down the score street. Now you see how it says bullet penetration. I believe another YouTuber tried this, and it was like, well, this might be a good thing to pick if it penetrates armored zombies, right? But I don't think it does. I didn't fully check this myself. I went based on somebody else did. So there's one day I might put this on just to see if it actually penetrates the armor of those manglers. If it does, I would give you an update. But based on what I gathered, it doesn't penetrate armored zombies. So for right now, I'm gonna go with it doesn't, but I might give you an update if it does. So moving forward, being able to control the recoil is not as important, but this is the one that I always would put on. Recoil springs in multiplayer. But in zombies, I'm gonna say it's less important. I'm not gonna say it's not important at all. It depends on what else is unlocked. So let me take a look at this. I already told you bullet velocity doesn't matter that much in zombies. I mean, if it's available and there's literally nothing else, I'll put it on just to put it on. But I wouldn't just put it on. Now, this right here makes your gun way stronger. And you see that this the headshot multiplier, the extra damage and all of that stuff, but your gun shoots slower. I would go with this because it makes your gun that much stronger. I would definitely pick this in zombies. In multiplayer, it doesn't matter how strong your gun is if you can't control the recoil. So I would put this on in multiplayer and be like, well, it's weaker, but it's not as strong. But at least when I'm shooting at somebody, it's not shooting to the roof, shooting all the way to the moon. So this is the one that I would go with. So obviously, every gun is gonna have different attachments and all of that stuff. But this is how I would build the XM4. And I just wanted to explain some of the attachments in multiplayer also. So I could do one for every category, like I said, but it's gonna take like a 10-15 minute video, and I don't usually do them this long. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Y'all got any questions, just let me know. Check y'all later. Peace out.